grand opening, grand closing.
Welcome, my friends, my family, my fellow gamers. Your only friend these YouTube streets, PorterRock77, back with another video. Now let's talk PlayStation 5 Pro, right? And if you've been in the community, and maybe you haven't, there's been a lot of hate on the product over the last couple of months that really trended and took narratives and just really got vitriol over about the platform. And the question is it unfounded hate? Is it realistic hate? Here's the reality of the product. The product was meant to be a better version of the PS5. It is a mid-gen refresh, and it is a better version of the PS5. And in fact, that is exactly what it's doing. For example, we now have some of the how would you say performance specifications of the base PS5 and the base PS5 Pro for the upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadow. For the PS5, you have, you know, for performance, fidelity, and balance mode at 2160p upscale, so that's 4K. Performance is at 60, fidelity is at 30, and balance at 40 FPS and stuff. And then you have like the ray tracing standards. So for example, for performance 60 FPS, there's selective ray tracing for the PS5 version. While on the Pro, you have standard. And for fidelity and balance mode, 30 FPS and 40 FPS, you have standard ray tracing for the PS5, and you have extended ray tracing capabilities for the PS5 Pro. The extended capability is not available on any current console, right? So this is ray tracing capabilities that you will only find on high-end PCs that they have available. So PlayStation's getting features, you know, the PS5 version getting features that the console version. Now, some of you might be like, well, you know, ray tracing's not all that big of a deal. I could live on with that. No reason to upgrade, right? But then you got other gamers for other games, such as, let's say, Monster Hunter. You have one that says, played an hour of Monster Hunter Wilds last night and knew I'd be packing up my PS5 in the morning. Had to go Pro. So those of you who are looking at what's going on with Monster Hunter, apparently, simply because of how the game's developed and the issues on PC and other platforms, PS5 currently seems like it's the best version to play. Now, of course, with patches and updates, those with high-end PCs, they will get the best version as usual. But on console, it's going to stay as PS5 Pro is the best version to play if you're interested in that. Another one, Kingdom Come Deliverance, which was just released maybe like a month ago. The batch, you know, coming from, you know, sources that have done the comparisons. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 PS5 Pro runs base quality mode of PS5 and Xbox Series X at over 70 FPS at 4K. The base consoles do 1440p 30 FPS in quality. All right, so pretty much, just in case a little bit of mumble jumble, quality mode, if you're on a PS5 or Xbox Series X, 1440p 30. Quality mode, if you're playing the PS5 Pro, 4K 60. So we're good at that. In fact, over 4K 60, because if you look at it, it says at over 70 FPS. The base console can do 1440p 30 FPS in quality mode compared to 4K 60 on the Pro. The devs have added a performance mode on base console too. Pro has higher FPS in the same scenes. Laugh out loud, haters. Of course, he's, you know, throwing his jabs, but ignore the trash talking, whatever. If you're owning the PS5 Pro, you're getting a better experience. And keep in mind, the PS5 Pro launched in November. So you're talking December, January, February, not March. Wait, yep. December, January, February, March. You're talking 4 months of improvements over it, right? So clearly, the console is going to get better and better and better and better. And we probably got like 2 to 3 more years of this generation going forward. And if you're not a day one adopter for the console, the PS5 Pro is going to go into, you know, a year or two into the next generation, and it's probably going to perform wonderfully, right? But here's the conversation I really want to have. It's really to the PlayStation gamers. I really want to talk to you guys, right? And the reason why I want to talk to you guys is some of you are getting suckered, right? So that way you can seem, I don't know, cool, or I don't know, part of some team. Like maybe you're afraid, you know, you don't want people to call you a corporate cuck or whatever. I don't know. But the internet influences is making you like not like the console you play on, and somehow you play on a console but you want to bash it, and it's just weird. So let me help you out. You're being influenced by people that do not like the console you like to play on. Now, I'm not saying be a corporate cuck or anything like that or whatever. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying, what PlayStation is doing is actually what want other consoles, people who prefer another console. We all know that console, Xbox. They wish their company would do the same as what Sony doing for their own console. That's one group. And then another group that also don't like it is the PC gamers, because they understand a successful console that has a successful console marketplace does impact PC in a few ways. Maybe not in a grand scale, but PC gamers are tired of seeing games not releasing day and dates on PC. They are absolutely tired of that. They are also tired of seeing certain games having the best performance on PC because some developers were kind of lazy or didn't optimize the PC experience because they put more effort on the console version. They're absolutely tired of that. They don't want to see it. Sure, they'll make content. They'll go on Twitter and say, oh, we can wait for the patches or whatever. Sure. But that's only because they're forced to wait. Perfect example, Grand Theft Auto 6. Some of them are saying, yeah, we can wait. You don't have a choice. So you saying we can wait? No, you will wait. There's a difference between we can and there's a difference you will, okay? I can wait with games that's coming out, on PlayStation day and day. Like, for example, Kingdom Come Deliverance. I didn't get to play it. I can wait because I'm doing other things. But I can. I am not forced to wait. The game is out on my platform. It comes out at that point. I decide when I want to play it. But some of you cannot decide that. Its decisions has been made for you. And yes, while they will not admit it on their content creation or on social media during the conversations, they will not admit publicly that they're tired of waiting. They want all the games to come out day and date so they can choose when they want to play it and when they don't want to play it, not when the company tells them you are allowed to play it, right? So a successful console market kind of introduces that little friction point into the PC gaming atmosphere. Again, Grand Theft Auto 6 is a perfect example. And then with PlayStation, right, with their own first party, right, where they already still said with their plans, their tempo exclusives is their priority and focus on the console market. As long as the console market for PlayStation is successful, as long as they're able to sell consoles successfully, Sony can maintain this strategy. And PC gamers don't like that. They want Sony to take all their games day and date and put on PC day and date. And as long as Sony has a successful console strategy, that won't happen. This is why you see a lot of them, they come up with other reasons. They're trying to do this grassroots movement of trying to create failure under the PlayStation brand to see if somehow social media, the internet can influence Sony's decision into going day and date. When in reality, when you look at the money, when you look at the facts, when you look at what's happening with the brand, they're the most successful ever. And it isn't because of PC at all. It's not even close. In fact, it's not even the combined revenue Sony's making on PC, Xbox, and Nintendo. It's a drop. It's a drop in the ocean of money the PlayStation console is making, right? I want you PlayStation guys to understand that. Now, you may not like the PS5 Pro because you don't want to spend the $700, and you may not want to go through the whole, turn in your PS5 so you get a reduced discount. You may not want to go through that. You just want to simply just play games. You're happy with the PS5 the way it is. It is a good machine. It's performing well. You really don't need to dive in. You'll wait till next gen. That's perfectly fine. But you should be happy that even if the Pro is not for you, that Sony is still all about their hardware. They're still trying to push forward the console industry. They're still trying to push forward technology for consoles, as compared to, as you see with Xbox, you don't even know what they got going on. The Xbox fans have no idea what's happening. Some of them are saying the next Xbox coming in 2026. Some are saying that it's a handheld. Some are calling it Xbox Prime. Some are saying that it's a third-party OEM manufacturer that's really PC, Windows focused with Steam. It's a whole bunch of nonsense that's going on. Meanwhile, we pretty much know what PlayStation is doing. They're going to come up with a competent hardware. We know they're going to include PISR technology into their platform. And they're going to try to give us the best bang for the buck. Our biggest issue is really two primary things. Number one, how much it's going to cost. Is Sony going to subsidize it, which I think they will, because they're trying to continue to grow the console market. And then number two, are they going to go all digital and ignore disc? Or will the next console at least give you the option for disc drive? I think those are the two biggest things that we as a PlayStation community should be talking about. And that's pretty much it. But if you look at the other communities, primarily PC, Xbox, and anybody else, they keep telling us, and they keep trying to tell us, oh, Sony's going to get out of the console. They're going to get out of console. No, that's what they want to believe, right? Again, Xbox guys wants to say that to us because they know on their side of the house it's looking like Microsoft's going to try to get out of the console industry. So if Xbox is not in the console industry, then Sony can't be in the console industry. And then for the PC guys, again, just like I explained, a successful console market is a little issue for them because it opens the doors for some, not a lot, but for some developers to be like, you know what? We're going to make our games first for the console, PlayStation, then we'll bring it onto PC later. Or if it is day and date on, across both devices, the console might get a little extra love while the PC may not be, fully optimized. It might be poorly optimized. And these are things they don't like. So the way they see it, if you get rid of the console and there's only PC, then PC will absolutely get everything day one the way it's supposed to be, and console market will not interfere with that environment. But here's the thing that you should also look at as a PlayStation gamer. Sony, Raytheon announced that happy Raytheon Day. We're proud to collaborate with PlayStation on Project Amethyst. FSR 4 is looking fantastic. Excited for the co-development with Sony Interactive Entertainment on the models used for FSR 4 upscaler. This is just the beginning. Stay tuned for what's next. All right. So this AI upscaling that FSR 4 that Raytheon, AMD is using, I would imagine part of it is also the same technology or the same principle that PSSR is using. So what does that mean? That means Sony is still in on hardware. They want to look at the next technologies for GPUs, and they probably are looking into technologies into CPUs, with the AMD series and stuff like that. Sony is still interested in trying to produce the best technologies, right? The latest technologies for future hardware, right? That is what we want on PlayStation. We got that. We don't have to worry about, if PlayStation is going to stay in the hardware business. They are. The only people telling you they're not are people that are not really PlayStation fans, or, the hardware is not their number one platform. They're mostly Xbox and PC gamers, maybe even some Nintendo gamers, but I think not a lot. Most of them just stay out of the way, and it is what it is. But you got to pay attention to who you're really talking to, right? And who you're really trying to impress. Like, you're going to listen to the PC guys so that way they don't make fun of you. Listen, you play on PlayStation, you enjoy PlayStation. You don't have to buy the Pro. You're enjoying PS5. But just know Sony is all in on their hardware. They're interested in the technologies behind it. They are partnering with AMD. And what that means for you is that the PlayStation 6, they're going to try to make the best console that's out there. So even if you don't want the PS5 Pro and you're more interested in the PlayStation 6 and you're just going to write out the gen on your PS5, one, you're perfectly fine because the PS5 is a great console. It is the best console this generation. There's no argument about that. That's not even a discussion point anymore. PS5 is the best console for this generation. All stop. Sony's all in on hardware, right? So they're going to still invest on bringing the best hardware out there, and you will enjoy that on PlayStation 6. For us who want a little bit more, a little bit enthusiast, we bought the PS5 Pro, and it is delivering, and it's only going to get better. Of course, you're going to have the haters. You're going to have the Xbox haters. You're going to have the PC haters, and they're going to try to downplay it. They could try to downplay all they want, but the head-to-heads, the technologies, and you see the games, they are getting better. PlayStation 5 Pro are producing the best versions, at least from a console perspective, the best version of games for us console gamers. And it's only going to get better because Sony is consistently improving their PSSR technologies that's resident in the PS5 Pro. Now, to really show Sony is all in, because you're going to see it. Some might even try to use this video to counter it as part of their channels, but this is where it's going to nonsense stop, right? Some are going to use the console market's not growing. It's stagnant. Listen to Phil. Phil. They're going to pull that. They're going to pull that nonsense, right? And now you're going to say to yourself, well, Porter Rock, they have a point, because clearly Phil's no is the end all be all. Phil is like, one of the passages in the Bible. If he says it, it's clearly just how it is for everybody. If Phil says you can't grow the console market, then the console market can't be grown. End of discussion. Well, sorry. Most of you need to look at what Sony's strategy is. And this is why the media today sucks, because they want to push a narrative. Even IGN, whatever, other publications, they're all doing the same thing. They want to push a narrative, right? And a lot of them are pushing the narrative of games everywhere. Exclusives are bad. Console market isn't growing. But the thing is, there's information out there that, at least from PlayStation, they're not along the same lines of that. For example, PlayStation, we all heard of the China Hero Project, right? But there's more than one. This one specifically is the MENA Hero Project. So what is it? This project is specifically looking at Middle East, North Africa Hero Project, hence MENA, Middle East, North Africa. It's a new incubator program founded by Sony Interactive Entertainment, focused on identifying and supporting emerging developers' talent from the Middle East and North Africa, right? So now you're thinking, okay, all right, Puerto Rock, that's really developer focused, right? You could chase after developers, get great creative developers in there, but that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the console. Read this. Cordell Robin Coker, CEO and co-founder of Carry First, said talks with Sony Innovation Fund began about 8 to 9 months ago, and that his pitch to the PlayStation console maker was that Africa is the next big market to find growth in video games. As large companies like Sony that have really strong footholds in tier 1 and tier 2 markets start thinking about where the next billion customers and gamers are going to come from, our pitch is that Africa is a prime market for that. Robin Coker told CNBC in an interview, right? Carry First is a developer based out of Africa, and they pitch, a kind of strategy of how they can help Sony grow in the African markets, right? Now, again, you might be thinking, well, okay, he's a publisher, he's a developer, right? That's just most like the games, right? Like Sony could still just put it on PC and stuff like that. But listen to this. We believe firmly that there is an incredibly underrated console opportunity in Africa, Robin Coker said, citing countries like Nigeria, Morocco, and Algeria as places where console adoption is rising a lot. Many gamers in Africa are buying consoles on gray markets. In other words, from vendors who imported consoles from overseas to resell them locally, Robin Coker added. So right now, there is no, how would you say, traditional distribution of consoles in the African region. Most of the African region are gray markets, meaning a vendor orders their consoles overseas from another vendor. Pretty much like you buy it from Best Buy or UK and other places, right? Where they're selling in those regions. You buy it up, get it imported, pay the import fees, whatever, right? And now you're reselling those consoles at a much higher markup region for the distribution work, right? So pretty much you could say they're kind of like professional resellers in a way, the gray market. But the cost of these consoles are extremely high. You're not going to get mass adoption of PlayStation consoles under this system. Sony has to figure out a way to say, hey, how can we get, consoles in the normal distribution cycle, vice these gray markets where some gamers are buying it, but, it's premium. You're really paying a premium price. It's not really a mass market price. To further expand on that, Sony's bet with its stake in Carry First is that Africa will be the next major market to drive growth in PS5 sales. Our hope is that we can help Sony to expand their reach of PlayStation in the region and support them in a range of ways, including broader go-to market strategies as well as digital payments. Right? This is something that if you look at my live yesterday with Reforge Gaming, check it out. We had it yesterday. If you have an opportunity to get to watch it, go watch it after this video. This is the strategy that we kind of touched on that live. Sony does have a strategy to sell more consoles. In fact, recently, right, during the third quarter, 9.5 million consoles sold, 47% of that was new customers. But here's the thing. Everything I just showed you, is anybody else talking about that? Because everybody's saying, oh, there's no way to grow consoles. Consoles are stagnant. But yet here we are. Sony strategizing in a new region where there's very little console penetration, because really the consoles there is gray market consoles. Sony's going to strategize how can we get traditional inventory into those regions. And it's not just there, right? Because they also have their projects in Korea, the projects in India. But the reason why I'm mentioning Africa, because that's like literally nothing there in terms of a console strategy. That whole market was completely ignored for a long while. And now Sony is tackling that. Sony is strategizing, trying to get consoles in a region where consoles is not really big. Most likely due to distribution, how they get, how would it be marketable and profitable? But Sony's looking into that. And why is Sony looking into that? Because they care about hardware. They want to expand their hardware. They want more people to get their hardware, and they're looking at all regions around the world where their hardware is not, at, where is it now, and how can we get there? That's not the same with Xbox or anybody else. So if you listen to any content creator talking about, oh, Sony's going to get away with hardware, I just showed you the facts. Not only are they not going to go away with hardware, they're looking for more regions to get their hardware to, right? And I would imagine they're going to have to put into work for distribution systems, mainly manufacturing plants. They'll come up with all sorts of ideas. But the ideas are coming up. They are strategizing more console sales. They are strategizing to have a bigger market fan base. And they're looking at places that doesn't have much of a console market at all. And they're going to get in there because they are confident that their product is wanted. They are confident that gamers want a PlayStation because of all it's do, from their first party to the third party games to the third party relationships and all the stuff that they do to make the console attractive. So make no mistake, you PlayStation gamer, right? They're going to continue to push the product that you enjoy. Now, you may not like the PS5 Pro, which is fine. You may be waiting for the PlayStation 6, but make no mistake, they're all in on PlayStation 6. They're all in on the PlayStation 7, right? The only time you have to worry about whether PlayStation, from a hardware perspective, no longer survives is if the consumers no longer want PlayStation console. It doesn't matter what a content creator on the PC side, the fanboy side, or Xbox side says. It doesn't matter what people who grift over PlayStation says. As you can see, they've been grifting for the last 4 or 5 years, saying nonsense, and it didn't come true. The reality is, the only time PlayStation console is in danger from being irrelevant is when the consumer, from purchases, decides, yeah, I don't want to buy the console no more. And you can actually see that if you pay attention to console sales. When you pay attention to Circana, formerly known as MPD, when you pay attention to GFK from Europe, when you pay attention to Famitsu, they will tell you things are not going well with the console because you will see the numbers slide. You will see negative percentages quarter after quarter after quarter. You will see the low numbers of adoption. When you start seeing console sale numbers reported as bad, lower than expected, just constant negativity. Sounds familiar, right? That's when you know it's time to get out of the console business and come up with a whole new strategy. That sounds familiar. It sounds like somebody recently done that because the console sales are terrible. They came up with a different strategy to be successful in gaming. Sounds familiar, right? So I'm going to end off with this, right? If you're a PlayStation fan, right, there are, of course, things to complain about. But the one thing you don't got to worry about is whether or not Sony's getting a hardware business. You ain't got to worry about that. You'll know when it's time to worry about that if you pay attention to the hardware sales, right? But for now, PlayStation's all in. They're all in on the technologies, and they're even expanding in more regions, which not only includes getting consoles to be sold, but what talent is in those regions that could develop games, which is hugely important for all of us because we can enjoy all those games that new developers from new regions could come up with new ideas and new concepts that we can try and enjoy. Pretty much new IPs. And Sony's putting in the effort for all of that. So with that, enjoy this video and then move on and check out my live with Reforge Gaming. You're going to enjoy it. It's part of my Friday night live series. So far, a lot of people's been loving it. They love them, like the whole ambiance of how I have it. It's a casual setting. It's great conversations. It's not the podcast type settings and ambush journalism arguments. It's just, the one-on-ones are meant just for great conversation. It's easy listening, and I think you enjoy it. And if you're huge fans of Reforge Gaming, you're definitely going to want to listen to this live with me. And I want to thank him for it, for being able to hop on. Anyway, your only friend is YouTube Streets, Porterbox77, and on to the live. You guys take care. Peace.
Grand opening, grand closing.